There is a reason winter warfare is feared by soldiers and commanders across every era. Cold doesn't just slow armies down, it breaks equipment, cripples movement and drains morale faster than exhaustion. During World War II, both the Axis and the Allies found themselves fighting through winters harsher than anything many recruits had seen at home. Uniforms froze, boots stiffened, rations turned to bricks, and weapons jammed as lubricants solidified. In the midst of this, one small, almost unimpressive piece of gear quietly proved itself invaluable. It wasn't a coat, it wasn't a heater, and it wasn't issued as a luxury. It was a simple add-on that transformed how soldiers endured winter, the wool neck gaiter and face wrap system, often referred to in World War II supply notes as the comforter or neck tube. It is worth lingering on the introduction for a moment because this item is often overshadowed by the more dramatic elements of winter gear. Yet many veterans later recalled this single add-on as one of the most effective pieces they carried. It weighed little, cost almost nothing, and performed far beyond expectations. While troops in the Ardennes, on the Eastern Front, and in the Italian mountains wrestled with frostbite and biting winds, this small wrap protected arteries, preserved heat, and kept soldiers functional when the cold was unforgiving. To understand why this simple cloth became so vital, you have to consider the realities soldiers faced. Most armies entered the war with uniforms designed for moderate climates, not frozen battlefields. Britain's early war gear, for example, relied heavily on wool layers, but lacked specialized protection for the neck and lower face. The United States Army's M1941 field jacket offered almost no insulation. German troops on the Eastern Front suffered devastating losses partly due to inadequate cold weather equipment. No matter what uniform a soldier wore, the neck and lower face remained exposed. Cold wind attacks the body's high-traffic heat zones first. The neck, packed with major blood vessels, is one of the most vulnerable. When cold air hits these arteries, heat loss accelerates throughout the entire body. World War II medics recorded numerous cases of frostbite and hypothermia that began with the neck and face being exposed for too long during patrols or sentry duty. Soldiers needed a solution, and quartermasters responded by issuing wool comforters, simple tubular or rectangular wool wraps, designed to cover the neck, jaw, and even the ears. The brilliance of this item was its adaptability. Soldiers could pull it up over the nose during windstorms, fold it down to vent heat during marches, or tuck it into the collar to prevent drafts. Though wool neck wraps existed long before World War II, the conflict forced militaries to refine them. British forces produced a khaki wool comforter that could be tied behind the head or wrapped inside the greatcoat collar. The United States developed the wool-knit M1944 hood, which was essentially an early balaclava with a flexible opening. Soviet troops, fighting some of the worst winter conditions in recorded military history, relied heavily on wool face wraps layered beneath ashankas. These variations shared the same foundation-dense, breathable wool that trapped warm air while allowing sweat to escape. Unlike scarves that became bulky or snagged, gaiters hugged the body and stayed secure during intense movement. This addressed a constant problem: heat management. Soldiers couldn't afford to overheat while marching only to freeze again when they stopped. A wool neck gaiter allowed temperature control in seconds without unbuttoning layers. Veteran accounts are clear. Soldiers in the Ardennes offensive often wrapped their comforters so tightly that frost formed on the exterior while the inside remained dry and warm. United States infantry in the Vosges Mountains used neck gaiters to reduce the sting of icy rain that cut across exposed skin. On the Eastern Front, Soviet troops used wool wraps to thaw frozen breath before it reached the lungs, preventing painful inhalation injuries. The comforter also protected against something more mundane, but equally dangerous, weapon malfunction. Soldiers who wore gaiters reported fewer instances of facial numbness, which helped maintain dexterity when handling rifles and clearing jams. Warm blood near the neck and jawline kept fine motor skills intact longer, something small but crucial in winter firefights. Another overlooked advantage was sleep protection. This wartime technique translates perfectly into modern survival and outdoor situations. Wool neck gaiters remain one of the most efficient pieces of cold-weather gear ever invented. They require no technology, work even when wet, and weigh next to nothing. To apply the World War II method, start by choosing pure wool or a high-density wool blend. The fit should be snug without being restrictive, allowing you to pull the gaiter over your lower face when needed. In extremely cold weather, the gaiter functions best when layered beneath a coat collar to trap warm air and seal the body's most vulnerable heat loss area. A practical example is winter camping. Wrapping a wool gaiter around the neck before sleeping helps maintain warmth throughout the night by protecting exposed blood vessels. Another application is long-distance hiking in cold wind. Instead of layering bulky scarves that accumulate moisture, a wool comforter-style wrap regulates warmth while preventing drafts. For those practicing historical survival techniques, a simple wool tube or rectangular strip can be carried in a pack or coat pocket. During sudden temperature drops, especially in mountainous terrain, wrapping the neck and jaw with wool can preserve heat long enough to prepare shelter, build a fire, or complete nighttime tasks. The neck gaiter's success during World War II shows that battlefield innovation didn't always come from factories churning out complex equipment. Sometimes the most effective solutions were rooted in basic human physiology and traditional craftsmanship. For historians, it provides insight into how small adaptations allowed soldiers to survive extreme conditions. For survivalists, it offers one of the most cost-effective ways to stay warm without relying heavily on modern technology. The World War II neck gaiter may have seemed insignificant in supply lists, but its impact on winter survival was enormous. It protected arteries, preserved warmth, and helped soldiers remain functional in the harshest environments of the war. If you want more deep, historically grounded survival guides like this, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and comment with the next forgotten piece of gear or technique you want uncovered.